All right, so welcome to the Green Camps Initiative webinar introduction. I'm going to go ahead and do that screen share and launch this program called Prezi. So Prezi is a fantastic presentation software that I think is just very dynamic in presenting information, so I hope you enjoy that. So I think it's a good place to start by just giving a little background about why I chose to start Green Camps Initiative. This is a word cloud, for those of you who haven't heard of it, and it's really a collection of words and phrases that I feel represent and highlight a few of the organizations that I've worked with, as well as what I've learned along the way. Now, there's no way that I could cover everything in the background that has led to the development of Green Camps Initiative, but I thought that this would be a good start, kind of overview of some of those things. So I really started my camp career as a camper. I think is a good place to go. I was 9 years old. I attended YMCA campaigns in King, North Carolina. For 11 years, I had great exposure to some amazing mentors and role models who really led me through the leadership development process so that I could give back to the camp community what it gave to me as a camper. So I was really excited to be able to attend that program and go through the leadership and training, counselor in training, and a lead counselor ultimately through that process. In 2006, I received a degree in sociology from North Carolina State. After receiving that degree, I was ready to step outside of my comfort zone, try something a little bit different. I wanted to be closer to family out here in California. So after doing a Google search for camps in California, I found Catalina Island Camps. At Catalina Island Camps, my first summer in 2006 there, I had the opportunity to run the Challenge Course program. And this really allowed me to continue and build upon my facilitator skills. And so facilitator, just as a reminder for those that might not be familiar with that term in the context of camp, a facilitator is someone who really takes a group of individuals, whether they're youth or adults, and takes them through a series of challenges to develop their group dynamic. And I really enjoyed that process, especially as a sociologist. It was very near and dear to my heart to watch that transition, to watch those behavioral changes, and then debrief at the end to learn from the challenges and successes. I feel that it really gave me a unique sense into the idea and the ways of problem solving. And so ultimately, I think that Green Camps Initiative has become a solution to the challenge of bringing more sustainable education to the rest of the camp community. So I really think that that all ties in there. So at the end of that first summer, my roommate at the time encouraged me to apply for Catalina Island Camp's environmental education program, which is called the Catalina Environmental Leadership Program, or CELP. And I stayed on to work the CELP program, the curriculum of which was developed by Dr. Richard Murphy with Ocean Future Society and utilizes these 4 principles of sustainability to guide the curriculum, to guide the development there. So as an instructor, I was given a group of 10 to 15 students, and we would take them through different natural environments and use these 4 principles to see that in every natural community, ecosystem, you could find these 4 examples anywhere you looked. And so you see that energy runs everywhere, that the nature is recycling everything, biodiversity, as well as the interconnectedness. And you can really associate that in any natural community. And then the larger picture was being able to draw these concepts back to the home community where the students were coming from. And so another way that we could do that was to take sustainable systems like the garden, like the composting program, the solar water heater that we installed on one of the bathhouses here, and draw those connections together to see that, energy is not only running nature, but it's also being able to gather that energy so that we can use it as humans. Nature recycles everything. We can see the sea cucumber here, eats the waste from the bottom of the ocean there, and deposits back down there as nutrients that will be recycled back into that community. The same thing happens with the composting system, and so on and so forth. You can see that these connections kind of spur beyond that as well. So the youth, adults, and especially our staff were able to observe, engage, and learn from sustainable systems. So kind of in closing with that, each group of students I worked with was unique and required me to think critically at what approach, lessons, and activities would most benefit them. And that became the most challenging yet rewarding part of my job. I really like that challenge to try to reach all these individuals. And so the lessons that I've learned through this process have gone into developing a system to help camps sort through and implement sustainable initiatives that will provide the most benefit to their facilities and program. So at this point, I have the concept, I have the idea, and what do I do now with it? I'd gone through all this process, and I'll mention a little bit later that I presented at an American Camp Association conference on sustainability on the Green Camps resource that I had developed to provide camps an outline of what potential resources and initiatives could be implemented to benefit their program. And so I wasn't really sure what to do with this, so I talked to a lot of people and got a lot of information together and had options on how to pursue with that and how do I move forward with this business idea. It's whether it was a for-profit, a nonprofit, or a social enterprise. There were lots of benefits, pros and cons to all of these options. I chose to pursue a nonprofit status because I like the notion of a business whose primary focus is to serve its beneficiaries. As a camp counselor and camp professional, my beneficiaries were the thousands of campers who were impacted either directly through my interactions with them or indirectly from the staff that I trained and supervised to then interact with their campers and their students. So Green Camps Initiative is going to allow me to extend that reach even further by working with camps across the United States to help them implement education and sustainable initiatives to impact the visitors who come to their program. So on February 12th, 2014, Green Camps Initiative became a project of Community Partners. Community Partners is a fiscal sponsor in Los Angeles County who provides several benefits to the projects that they sponsor. The first part is the guidance. They really worked with me a lot to help develop the business plan and ensure that it would be a sustainable business model. I also have a Community Partners staff liaison who works directly with me to strengthen my leadership skills in the business realm, as well as address organizational development issues to move through with those. And they have a whole team of staff there that really help with all these issues. The other part that's really important and probably the most beneficial is their financial support. They provide comprehensive finance and accounting services, general liability insurance, human resources and payroll tax, as well as tax, audit, lobby filings, and other services to ensure that projects are in full compliance with local, state, and federal regulations. And basically what this allows is for me to focus on developing the programs of Green Camps Initiative while Community Partners ensures that we're operating within the legal and ethical boundaries of the nonprofit. And so here we have now this model for a system. And one of the things that I really took away from working at Catalina and camps is the benefit of a mission-driven organization. And so I came up with this mission. This is several years in the making, but in general, we help camps reduce their environmental impact, regenerate natural systems, and become models of environmental stewardship for campers and their surrounding communities. By establishing a set of nationally recognized environmental management criteria, we assess each camp's facilities and practices and facilitate the implementation of ecologically sustainable and educational systems. So that's a mouthful, and I think it's worded that way intentionally so that it can really, Green Camps Initiative can really tackle a lot of the different areas of sustainability within the camp community. And when you look at the ideas and the concepts of sustainability, it encompasses a lot. And so this mission statement allows us, our programs and our activities, to really touch on and support all those different actions. And then we can further expand upon those missions by having these three outcomes. And the three outcomes include the education, which is really my forte in the background of what I've really come up understanding is how to take sustainable information and educate the benefits and the value of that through activities, engaging conversation, and other approaches as well. But really to educate visitors about the value of sustainable systems. The environmental benefits to reduce the camp community's ecological footprint, as well as the economic savings to save money by reducing the use and reliance on resources, really specifically water and energy, but lots of other resources. We can really cut back on those. Even if it's incremental, you can really produce big savings in the long run. And we'll touch on that in a little bit here. A more familiar way to demonstrate those same outcomes is a triple bottom line. This is commonly called the 3 Ps, the people, planet, and profit model, and it incorporates the notion of sustainability into business decisions. In addition to advocating for this model in the camp community, these ideas are deeply entrenched in the business plan and operations of Green Camp's initiative. We want our business to lead by example in the way we operate. So the core of Green Camp's initiative is really the accreditation program. And I created the accreditation model that would benefit camp programs across a wide spectrum of sustainability. I've been able to talk and interact with a lot of different camps and understand where they are in the process. And there's a whole array. Some camps are currently functioning at high levels of sustainability to highlight their initiatives and receive the credit for the work that they've done. That would be the benefit of them pursuing that accreditation. So again, some camps are currently at that high level and can benefit from highlighting what they're already doing. Camps that are just beginning to pursue sustainability can access a basic accreditation level by going after the, quote, low-hanging fruits, those initiatives that don't require as much investment or energy to pursue. And we'll talk about those a little bit more as well. So the Green Camp's accreditation is a benchmarking tool for best practices in sustainability in the camp community. There's no single mold of sustainability that will fit the diverse needs of the camp community. Rather, camps can use the resources and support of GCI to implement systems that work for their unique programs. So let's kind of take a walk through here through this process. So I developed the SelfAudit Tool in order to help camps establish a baseline. The SelfAudit Tool allows camps to input information about the energy and usage, about the energy and water usage, and we can see the energy and water usage in these examples here. But additionally, other parts of the audit tool allow for analyzing the food systems, the waste, the administration use, and so on and so forth. So as information is input, the calculators will automatically output use, the amount of energy being used, as well as the cost there. Now, these are, again, just screenshots of some examples there, but you can input information, adjust number of units, and the sections in gray here will automatically output this information. So we see some examples of computer energy use, examples of standard kitchen, light bulbs. And the other thing that I found really fascinating is to kind of do comparisons. So we can go through here and maybe we put 2 CFL light bulbs in here. We can put the same cost, same numbers in here, but if we change the wattage on those and then leave the same number of hours, we can see the difference of, say, a 15-watt CFL light bulb versus a 30-watt light bulb based on how much energy it's taking to operate that in a year, as well as the cost to operate it as well. So a lot of valuable information can come from this. But what it's really going to set you up for is to get a broad stance and understanding of where is the energy use, the high energy use in your facility that can really be impacted to create that savings, both the environmental as well as the economic savings. And to bring the educational in, we can use education to show our visitors how we're implementing systems that can really have a positive impact on this number. So the SelfAudit Tool is part of the basic membership registration fee for camps. So if a camp registers, they get access to all these spreadsheets and they can implement the data, and that system is continually developing and more systems are being put in place to really develop that tool out to make it more useful. So that's the SelfAudit Tool. We'll move on from there. So the Green Camp's resource. The Green Camp's resource is what really kind of launched Green Camp's initiative. In 2011, at that conference that I mentioned earlier, the Spring Leadership Conference and ACA educational event in Palm Springs, I led a session on sustainability in camps. Basically, I created a PDF document that was about 18 pages long with all these different categories and initiatives laid out. Excuse me. Laid out all these different categories divided by no cost, low cost, and high cost. And so you can get a sense of, you know, what are some of the ways that we can implement sustainable initiatives that benefit us. Again, those 3 outcomes still apply educationally, environmentally, and economically, and what are some tools that we can use to implement those, so such as fixing leaky faucets or smart paper use, so on and so forth. These resources also provide the tools needed to meet accreditation scoring guidelines that we'll see in just a minute for the standards. So within all these, you'll find visual aids and videos and forums and curriculum. All these initiatives are continually updated, and that's another reason that I pursued the development of the Green Camps Initiative website, so that I can easily access, upgrade more information, put in pictures, and all this information will continue to develop and expand through the progression of Green Camps Initiative. So that's the Green Camps resource. And the accreditation standards. So there are 7 main categories of accreditation standards, including energy, water, recycling, administration, food systems, site, and even the camp store, which I could go into a whole nother debate, kind of explanation about. But in general, these accreditation standards are divided up by these categories. This is just a small screenshot of part of the energy accreditation standards, and they're divided up by subcategories, and then each individual initiative is under here within those subcategories. So we can look at energy conservation policy, and one of the aspects is employee education. So the first column is a description of why. So why would you benefit from implementing that initiative of employee education, how to implement that initiative, and then as well the scoring. So these are the scoring guidelines that would allow your camp to benefit from those scorings. So this is an excerpt from the standards review, which will be released. Today is actually the first release day for camps and sustainability professionals to comment with their comments, questions, and concerns on each one of these initiatives to be put together in order to have a kind of reviewed and critically accepted accreditation standards. And so there will be several rounds of that review, and you can get more information at the end of this webinar on how to participate in that. The last column here is a rating. Each of these initiatives will be rated based on the amount of resources that it would reasonably take to implement that initiative. So this next slide here, this is a sample. When I was at Catalina Camps, I put together a sample overview of what a possible accreditation would look like. Now, this was done several years ago, so these don't hold fast to these numbers or anything, but you can see that there's different accreditation levels. And so your first level, I want this to be accessible. So in order for a camp that's just beginning and starting to implement initiatives, they might not be able to get these high level of points, but it should be reasonable for them to get, say, 30 or 40 points just by implementing some simple water conservation policies or energy conservation policies. Those, again, low-hanging fruits there. And so when I went through and calculated all these suggested point values, it was a total of 167, and the camp score was 106. And going through and looking at those different scoring guidelines, so just to give you a sense of what that looks like. And looking forward to develop that and hoping that by the end of the year, there really is a set of standards that is accepted nationwide by camps, and we can, camps that are interested can begin pursuing those accreditation levels. So the final step really in the accreditation process are implementing the case studies. With a Green Camps profile registered on the Green Camps Initiative website, camps can submit case studies using a survey form to highlight the initiatives they've begun implementing at their facility. This is a self-paced process because I don't want it to feel like we have to do everything at once. I think sustainability, you really have to think out what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And so if there are specific initiatives, maybe based on the self-assessment, the self-audit, that would most benefit your facility, those are the ones to start with, and then you can build up from there at your own pace. And so as you implement each of those initiatives, you get the scores for those, which we saw previously, and you slowly build upon those as well. So these are just a few examples of some of the initiatives that have been implemented. Many of these are from Catalina Camps. At the Irvine Ranch Outdoor Education Center, they have a huge orchard and 2 beehives that are doing really well in producing honey and pollinating those hives there. So there's many options, and you'll see that those accreditation standards will continue to grow. Pull those in there. The 3 main uses for these case studies are for camps to highlight the sustainable practices at their facility by using these case studies. The second use is a searchable database of resources for other camps. So say a camp in the Midwest has a compost program or wants to implement a compost program, they can do a search through the current members of Green Camps Initiative on the website for camps in that same area who have a composting program. And then by reading those case studies, they can learn from the challenges and the successes that that camp had in implementing that compost system. So we're not reinventing the wheel every time. I really think that we can benefit from each other and what we've learned and the challenges and the headaches that we've experienced through that process. So the Green Camps Initiative website provides an interface that's been developed to help to guide camps to implement sustainable initiatives in pursuit of accreditation. Again, each member camp registers a profile that will allow them to uniquely interact with the resources and services on the website. Being able to manage your profile is a way, again, to highlight the initiatives and who your camp is and how you've approached sustainability. You can also access resources, submit and access case studies, facilitate the Green Camps accreditation process, and network with a community of camps with the same desire to implement and benefit from sustainable systems. Beta testing is currently, the website is currently in beta testing as a way to figure out how to continue the development of the website to really meet the needs of the camp community. I'm very confident in what I've put together so far, and it is a fully functional model, but I really want to hear from the camp community as to how to continue the development based, again, on the needs of the camp community. So that's the website. A few other areas that I thought that would be worthwhile to mention as we begin to wrap up here is looking at how Green Camps Initiative serves the camp community. The Green Camp Summits are day-long sustainability festivals that will be hosted at Green Camp member facilities. And the objective is to really bring out the entire community to highlight your camp's commitment and pursuance of sustainable initiatives. So that means inviting local camps from the region, community members from schools and other organizations, other camp professionals, as well as producers of sustainable goods and services as sponsors for these events to highlight some of the resources that are out there to implement in there, as well as other like-minded organizations. And if you are a camp and interested in hosting one of these events at your facility, please do contact me. I'd love to share some more information with you about that. Educational outreach, probably one of my most passionate parts of this whole thing is to get out there face-to-face, do more of these webinars, and really share information about how sustainability can fit into the camp community. Green Camps Initiative was the keynote speaker at the 2014 American Camp Association Site Manager Seminar. We were the Green Conference Coordinator at the 2014 AEOE statewide conference and have presented at more than 20 educational camp conferences and events on an array of sustainability topics. And so much more to be covered as it's only really scraped the surface there. So expect to see Green Camps Initiative represented at many upcoming camp conferences and events. If you are interested in sharing your knowledge about sustainability, because I know there's lots of knowledge out there, if you'd be interested in sharing that knowledge and presenting on behalf of Green Camps Initiative, again, please contact GCI for more information about how to go about doing that. Grant opportunities. Grant opportunities really support GCI's mission to provide camps with those resources to implement sustainable initiatives. I recently took a Grantsmanship Center grant writing course, some fund development courses. I've done many Meet the Funder sessions, and there's significant funding available for environmental education initiatives such as Green Camps Initiative. And I've had great success in networking with those individuals and have actually already received a grant from Southern California Edison to, to implement the first Green Camp Summit. So much more along those lines as well to come, but really excited about the potential for those. And then finally, the partnerships. Green Camps Initiative has been very busy communicating with individuals, businesses, and organizations around the U.S. and even outside the U.S. overseas that support the mission of Green Camps Initiative to form mutually beneficial relationships. These established and developed relationships reflect the mission of Green Camp's initiative by connecting our beneficiaries with the resources to implement sustainable practices. I could go on forever about all these relationships that have been developing, but there is significant interest in the sustainability in the camp community to see Green Camp's initiative, to see the Green Camps, the Sustainable Camps movement progress and be successful. The American Camp Association is a great example of that. We recently confirmed and secured our Educational Alliance. Green Camp's initiative is also a business affiliate of the ACA and have really provided some great connections there. So moving on to Accreditation Standards review, again, I touched on it briefly before. It's really about bringing together lots of individuals, camp professionals, sustainability professionals, green organizations, so on and so forth, to really create a credible accreditation model. The framework is there, the basis is there, and it's just ready for your feedback and your ideas to help make it even better. So the last part here is, in order for this to really be successful, it needs to be a camp movement and sustainability movement. So I really want to invite people and individuals to become a part of this movement. And there are lots of ways to do that. By supporting Green Camp's initiative with a donation or by becoming a member, you're supporting a camp sustainability movement that will directly benefit the camp community. But more importantly, it's going to indirectly benefit our society when those lessons and examples of sustainability that are highlighted at your facilities are brought back to the home communities of the millions of visitors who attend camp every year. Green Camp's initiative does more than simply providing camps with sustainable resources. We help implement systems to educate the staff and program participants to understand the importance of sustainability to create long-lasting change. So a few examples of ways to support GCI. You can make a donation as well as join as a Green Camps member. The membership fee the annual membership fee is just $100. I did create that on purpose to make it accessible. I want all camps to be able to join and have access to these resources. I've been told by many folks that it's underselling the value of the resources that you're benefiting. And for camps that feel that they have the resources to join at a higher level, I encourage you to do that. But again, it's very intentional to make it accessible to camp members. So please consider joining as a member as well as donations. Advocating for GCI in the camp and sustainability communities is also another great way to tell the camp community and sustainability community what camps have to offer and how we can really have a positive impact. You can also invite Green Camp's initiative to come to your camp to do, I think the biggest service that we can offer is doing audits. So to come look at your facility, provide recommendations, help with the SelfAudit Tool to assess recommendations that will really benefit your facility. You can also take part in the Accreditation Standards review. You can sign up for the Green Camps Initiative newsletter to receive updates and free resources, and attend future webinars that will provide more insight to all this information. So I know that's a ton of information, and at the end of this webinar, when you sign off, you'll have an opportunity to fill out a survey, and then you'll be redirected to another page that will allow you to get some more information and submit donations or join Green Camp's initiative. So please feel free to pursue that down that avenue. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and jump off here and kind of move over to these questions. So we have a couple questions in here, and you can go ahead and start sending in any questions that you have that we'll answer. But the first question was, are there ways for large-scale facilities that serve 600 plus kids each week to incorporate sustainability? Absolutely. Again, if going through those accreditation standards, I think you'll see that almost all of those will apply to any size facility. Definitely dealing in larger numbers can be more challenging, especially when you're looking at food service items. But when you're looking at energy conservation or implementing policies, it's definitely very doable to do in any size camp. How to pay for sustainability is a very good question. Again, if you look through and divide it up in the no cost, the low cost, and the high cost, there's a lot of initiatives that you can very easily implement with very little resources, very little time and money that will really pay back hugely and provide great benefits to your program. Other initiatives, there are incentives. There's lots of government incentives, utility incentives to help supplement the cost of implementing those ideas. If you look at solar panel companies, and I know here in Southern California, you can do a lot of financing opportunities or even programs where the solar panel installation will just, they benefit from that directly. But again, I think there's a lot of research to do, and be aware of all the resources out there. And I hope that Green Camp's initiative, the resource section, will provide more information on how to benefit from that. Again, those three-tier outcomes, economics is a really big one, and I think one that will appeal to a lot of camps. Backlash from campers, parents, staff, and administrators. I feel that education is a really important way to show why we're doing these. Of course, there's going to be challenges if you do, example, a no-meat Monday, and you have individuals that are really, wanting their bacon that morning. I think if you explain to them and help them understand how these processes will benefit the camp community, the individuals that are there, as well as the message that it sends home, that can really avert a lot of that. So if you do your due diligence and provide education through orientations, I think you can really avoid a lot of those challenges. Overall cost, we kind of touched on that. Struggle with composting system and the volume of food is required to be composted each meal. Used to be able to swap food to a local pig farm, but regulations prevent us from doing so. So there are a lot of ways to deal with food waste. And I think the first thing is really to step back and look at that entire cycle, starting with how much food is being produced and is there a way to minimize how much waste is developed in the first place. Whether you do a Clean Plate Club type event or you encourage, take what you eat and eat what you take programs. And yes, composting can be challenging when you're dealing with a high volume of compost, but there are compost systems that you can implement and when well managed can really deal with a very high volume of food waste. I know I can speak personally to Catalina Island camps that generates 20,000 pounds of food waste is diverted from the landfill every year through the compost program there. So it's a good example there. Speaking of examples, what examples are there of camps who have already done this? A lot of the pictures that you saw in the case study slide were examples from Catalina Island camps. I mentioned the Irvine Ranch Outdoor Education Center has the orchard, and they actually, when they're in season, they take their citrus to the farmers market and benefit from the sale of those to help benefit their sustainability program. Camp Stevens in Julian, California, they have a great farm-to-table program and lots of other great examples of things. And the case studies that will be developed through Green Camp's initiative will provide additional examples. But there are many, many camps out there that are doing great things. I had the opportunity to visit Blue Star camps in North Carolina this summer and see a lot of the water-saving initiatives and behavioral programs that they've implemented there. So there are a lot of great examples out there. And I want to share more of those because I think they're definitely very beneficial. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen sharing. And if you have questions, please go ahead and you can submit those and jump in with any questions there. But I'd like to go ahead and thank everyone for attending. Thank you for your attendance. Please share this initiative with folks if you feel that this is beneficial, if you see the benefits and the outcomes of implementing sustainable initiatives in your program. Share that through social media. Join the Green Camps Initiative newsletter to receive updates and other information about that. So that kind of concludes my presentation. And again, if you have additional questions, please let me know. So I'm going to put
all attendees are muted and may unmute themselves by pressing *6.
So I put it in question and answer mode, so you can unmute yourself if you'd like to share a question like that. You can also put in a question via the chat box in the bottom corner there. Otherwise, thank you again, and we'll move on to the Q&A. So a question of what kind of on-site services does GCI provide? I mentioned briefly the audit services that we can visit facilities and do walkthroughs and provide recommendations based on completion of that audit tool to analyze those. Additionally, we can also provide training for staff, give presentations and additional educational services. But I think in general, the main service that is beneficial from camps would be that audit service to really do an analysis of your systems in place and provide recommendations that you can benefit, again, on those three outcome tiers, the educational, the economic, as well as the environmental benefits. Great. Okay, well, I think that's going to wrap up our webinar for today. Thank you again for your attendance. And if you have not already signed up for the newsletter, please jump on that, and I'll be forwarding a mailing of a copy of this recording that you can share with anyone else. Another question that just popped up, would the GCI accreditation be connected with American Camp Association accreditation? That's a great question, Kevin. Like I mentioned before, I have formed an educational alliance with the American Camp Association. In order for something like that to really pursue, for ACA to pick up the accreditation model of GCI, GCI is really going to have to make a push on its own to show the validity of it and that there is a following and a desire for it. I think ACA is definitely interested in implementing sustainable practices and supporting sustainability, but again, there has to be a significant following and outreach. So please contact the ACA and tell them that you're interested in more sustainability accreditation standards and in working with GCI, and that's definitely the first step in doing that. You're welcome, Kevin. If anyone else has additional questions, again, the contact information will be found through the follow-up on this. Feel free to email or give me a call, and let's continue with this movement. Thank you again for your time and patience, and thank you for being a part of the Green Camp sustainability movement. All right, bye-bye, everyone.